What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another salvage story where we give you an unfiltered look into the good, bad, and the ugly of the performance auto salvage world. And then we wrap it up by letting you know how much money we made or lost. This one has a little bit of a twist, however. This is our first salvage story video car that we did not buy from an auction. Today's car is quite possibly my favorite car to part out and one of my favorites to drive. We have a 2008 Corvette C6 Z06. We bought this car from a private seller not even 30 minutes away from the shop. Not only did we get the car for a good deal, we also got a lesson with it. The older gentleman that we bought it from hypothetically was trying to impress a woman, not the word he used. He was also hypothetically going over 100 miles an hour. In fact, I think he said he was hypothetically going 170 miles an hour. Who knows if that's true? He hypothetically could not slow down at a dead end and hypothetically jumped a curb at 100+ miles an hour. He then left us with one very solid piece of advice: don't drink and drive. I have yet to be under this car. It has not left the trailer since we got it back yesterday. It looks pretty decent. He said it did bust the oil cooler, but it shut off immediately. From what I can tell, it looks like a pretty solid buy. Just a little wobbly.
She's down.
So this is one thing you never get at an auction lot. This dude must have waxed this car like, I don't know, a couple days before he wrecked it, because this car is actually clean. We're losing pieces. Quick change of topic. Fernando immediately said I should put those taillights in my ZR1. Let me know what you guys think.
My goodness.
I don't like that. Should I keep walking?
Shit. No, I don't see anything like this is the most damage I've ever seen on one of these. Like the whole subframe on this side is broken, like it's completely detached.
I mean,
both mounts. Let's
be real. All we're worried about is the oil pan.
Well, it's attached on this side, so it looks like it tapped the pan right there.
Yeah, that's the spring. That's not too bad.
It doesn't have a radiator support. Where did that go?
We once had one of these cars that was hit so bad in the front, it pushed everything back far enough where this hit the subframe and broke the differential housing. So the interior is pretty normal. It has the 08 Plus carbon fiber center console. It does have a AEM air fuel gauge, which is kind of weird. It does have nice V-band headers. They're not like American Racing. I didn't see a name on them.
From the top, like it doesn't even look like it was in as bad of a wreck as it appears.
Yeah, that's a fair point. This is definitely a car that somebody throws the intake back on, runs through Copart where you're not going to look under it, and somebody pays like $18,500 for it.
Yeah. Wait, should we be that guy?
We don't do that here, Dalt. We're the good guys.
Right.
Now, the best part about buying private sale cars, we don't have to worry about auction fees. We paid $12,500 for this car, and that is $12,500 flat. And then I guess you have, what, 20 bucks in gas going to get the thing. No big deal. When we can get a private sale car like this at a decent deal, it almost always expands our profit margin. All right, it is D-Day for the C6Z. But first, before we pull it inside and shred it, we have to start it. As you guys saw, the oil cooler was busted off the thing. Fortunately, yesterday, Dalt got a plug for it, stuck it in the side of the block. No more oil cooler, no more oil leak. It was full of oil, so the guy's story holds up. He didn't start it, he didn't let it run after the crash. And because of that, the engine would never have got starved of oil. This was definitely a beautiful car at some point. We have power, give it the old shifter check. Good to go. Bombs away, Fernando. Yeah, we got a little burn off down there, nothing to worry about. Wow, look at the pulley. Oh look, the AC pulley too. All right, so it has some accessory drive damage, but I guess what can you expect when this thing went over a curb at 100 plus? But otherwise, this thing sounds cherry. You want to give it a little rev, Fernando?
You need those.
No, stop it. Stop it. I'm not an American racer, all right? All right, I suppose she's ready to come apart. What do you think?
Let's go. He's ready to find a new home.
Yep. All right, cut it off.
It just fell.
This is one less thing you have to unglue, right?
Yep. Headlight looks good still.
Yeah, it might actually not be broken. It's just cockeyed in the tub. How to remove a tub in 3 seconds, yeah. Just yank it right off. That's hilarious. It actually came off clean. Literally.
Really?
Yeah. Look, it's actually unglued.
Oh.
So obviously Tyler was joking around when he started yanking on that thing. It actually came off exactly how it's supposed to. All right, now the question. So that tub is 100% usable. Like, it's cracked,
Yeah.
but somebody can definitely glass that back
Those
together.
are just glue spots.
You
That's
have
not even.
up there, that's
yeah.
cracked. But still,
there's
like,
a
that's
couple.
not that bad. And the hilarious part is,
That fender
dude, the
survived.
fender actually survived, I think. Wow. Okay. Well, that's a little bonus money. I'll take it when we can get it. All right, we're not 30 seconds into the part out. We already have luck on our side. I'll take it because it honestly never happens. We're gonna let Tyler get cracking on that thing and see how fast it comes apart. See if we get lucky anywhere else on it. Drivetrain is out. The engine was being held in by one mounting point on the subframe and the steering rack kind of loosely holding the subframe pieces together. As you guys already saw, this guy did a number on this car. This thing is jacked up. Fortunately, the rear of the car actually held up really nice. For dude smacking a curb at that speed, there is nothing back here that got damaged. And as you guys know, trans and diff, especially in an 08 and up TR6060 car, big money. Another really nice piece on this car are the headers. I don't know what brand they are because they don't appear to have any markings, but they're a really nice V-banded setup. Really nice X-pipe that's V-banded as well, and they even came with some adapters to go back to the mufflers. So one of the nicer header setups I've seen on this car. Wish I knew what brand it was. But now, like every other part out that has an expensive engine or a drivetrain setup, it all comes down to the leak down. Tyler's gonna break that stuff down. We're gonna go back out there in just a few minutes and leak it down. If we have a good one, it'll be a huge win. If not, well, you know how that goes. All right, into the road for the DUI C6Z. She is headed to the scrapyard with her Pontiac running mates and, of course, a fellow C6. And now, time for the most important part of this teardown, the leak down test. I think Tyler has it ready, so we're gonna find out real quick if that thing's actually good.
Monster clutch. Wait.
Hold on, you called it as a monster clutch or is it stock?
It's a monster.
No, it's monster.
Okay, I was gonna. Oh, there it is.
yeah, so
I was
they-
about to say it got me for a second.
Yeah, they use those like factory-ish style looking pressure plates.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I would know I have one in the box for the ZR1, but that's always a nice little bonus when you find something like that. Hopefully it's actually usable. Hopefully it's not too worn. We'll measure it, see how it stacks up to monster specs. Hopefully we get a nice little bit of bonus cash out of that. Anyway, you ready to do this?
Yep. God, these get sketchy.
All right, we're off to a good start. All right, we are over halfway there. Here we go, last cylinder. Bring us home. Perfect. Done deal. Another good engine. Honestly, you can't beat it. Even though this thing does have some pulley damage, you can't beat a good LS7. They bring tons of money, and it definitely bodes well for the results of this particular part out. As you imagine, I'm very pleased with that. That is the perfect way to end today. He's going to get in here in the morning, go ahead and strip the rest of that down, get the parts added to this pile of parts that we have right here, and then they will make their way on over to this guy. Ready for a Z06 tomorrow?
No.
No?
No.
What do you mean no?
Because I'm taking
Yeah.
a picture of this beauty right now, you know?
Don't even start.
You know what I'm
Don't
talking
even
about.
start. In case you guys don't know what car this is.
It's a beauty. Red and black interior, you know.
It's great on anything except a Pontiac GTO.
But why? You know, I just
All right,
say
why
it.
don't you build one? Yeah,
I
exactly.
got S1000, you know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that everybody's gonna prefer S1000 than a GTO.
Uh-huh,
so
uh-huh.
it's, you know, convertible stuff.
We will be back in here first thing tomorrow morning to see just how many parts this thing produced, if we have any left, because people are already starting to come by and buy things from this. A guy just came down from Pennsylvania and picked up the wide body front fenders, which, as you guys know, miraculously survived. All right, we are back in the shop. Fernando has all these Z06 parts laid out. Fernando, I wouldn't in a million years put that on my Z06.
You will put it in there. You know you like it.
Never. Fernando is constantly on me to put these terrible mods like these headlights on my ZR1. It's just never happening. Anyway, this is a nice pile of parts. This looks like a pretty decent car. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. Actually surprising how many parts we actually get from it.
Yeah.
Especially how beat up actually.
Exactly. Like he just said, we got a ton of parts from this, and the car is pretty beat up and pretty cheap, so you really can't complain. That's always a recipe for a good money-making part out. We have ourselves a halfway decent set of seats here. Once again, this is one of the nicest header X-pipe combos I've ever seen on one of these cars. It's really a shame that it's not branded. Always a good moneymaker, even when they're a little cracked up, because they can simply be fiberglass back together, the wide body front fender tubs. They are an absolute must when somebody obliterates the front end of one of these cars. You need this to get the thing back together halfway decent. We have the 3-inch stock exhaust. It is a very popular upgrade for the non-NPP guys. For those of you guys who don't know, this valve opens at a certain RPM and it gets significantly louder. This is the inside of that monster clutch, and man, that thing looks nice. We'll have to put a mic on it and see how it specs out, but judging by the distance from the rivets there, this thing looks like it's nearly new. We got ourselves an AEM wideband out of this thing, though if I recall the center was melted.
They ran it over top of the headers and X pipes, so it melted.
Another thing that's always a winner that pulls good money in these cars, the 08 and up carbon pattern center console. This one is in really good shape, actually. Bin full of miscellaneous interior and exterior stuff. We'll start digging through that here in a little bit. Again, always a good money maker, the brakes. Honestly, they are probably the best possible upgrade you can do to a base C6, and they're not that expensive. Now, on to the big money stuff. The engine. I walked in this morning and there was a note that I really didn't like on the engine. We didn't see it the other day, but once the motor mount brackets came off, there's a slight crack in one of the mounting holes. Fortunately, it didn't penetrate the block. It is just that mounting hole right there, but as you can see, that will definitely need to be addressed. So that will knock some money off, but it's still a good, solid engine, and if somebody's comfortable with fixing that, it gives them an opportunity to get into it a little cheaper than they could just buy an outright nice LS7. The diff is gone, we still have the trans, and given that this is an 08 and up, it is the TR6060, which does pull more money than the older T56 out of the 06 and 07. But that about wraps it up for the parts out of the Z06. Fernando's gonna go ahead and photo them. Meanwhile, Tyler is starting on yet another wide body Corvette. This time it's a Grand Sport. This is another pretty sweet car. Grand Sports, Z06s, they all do really, really well. Obviously the LS3 doesn't pull as much money as the LS7, but they sell much, much faster because let's be honest, everybody wants an LS3. But enough about that car, this is about the Z06. So how are we looking on this thing? What do you got time-wise?
So the fact that we already saw a lot of parts probably is gonna nag a couple hours.
Definitely.
But about 6 hours probably.
We'll check back in later today, see how he's doing, grab those pictures, list the items, then tell you how we did financially on the car. I have a feeling that we're gonna do really well on this one just based on what we're in it for, how many parts we got out of it, but as usual, there's only one way to find out. All right, guys, we are back in the shop on this disgusting Saturday morning, and I just finished up listing all those C6 Z06 parts. There is absolutely zero chance of doing anything outside today, so what better time than now to go ahead and give you guys the breakdown. As you guys know, this one's going to be a little different. We don't have to show what it costs at auction. We don't have to worry about fees, shipping, any of that. So let's get right into how much this car produced. This Z06 produced a grand total of only 50 parts. Those 50 parts have a total retail value of $25,599. Now, if you're thinking that sounds pretty light, you'd be right. I'll explain why here in a second. But first, let's go ahead and take a look through these parts and see what stood out. This first page is pretty much full of run-of-the-mill C6 parts. Nothing real special, nothing real expensive. But here's where things start to get interesting. The Z06 torque tube. That's worth a good bit more than a base one. They're a little bit more frequently broken, they're a little harder to find, therefore they command a little money. A base one's going to run you $500 to $600, a Z06, $850 is what we're asking for. That really nice V-band header exhaust combo. It's a real nice piece, still couldn't find a brand, but it's a beautiful setup, and whoever's looking at it is going to realize that, and they're going to have to pay up for it. We're pricing it kind of right in line with Cook's American Racing, maybe 10-15% less. The Z06 gas tanks pull double what the base ones do. As most of you guys are probably aware, the Z06 brakes a significant upgrade from the base brakes. And with that, they cost 4 times what the base brakes do. That monster clutch, it's a $1,500 clutch new. Unfortunately, no matter how nice the clutch is, and this one is nice, you can only pull so much money. It's a used clutch. No matter the scenario, a used clutch max is pulling roughly 50% of what it was new. Unfortunately, the engine, while still a $9,800 engine, which is good by any standard, is knocked down a bit because of that cracked mounting hole. It's unfortunate, still not a killer. Somebody will get great use out of it. Somebody will repair it, do whatever they want to it, and save a few bucks in the meantime. Other than that, you have the seats, which are in pretty nice shape, but not terribly more expensive than a base set. The only difference is the fact that they say Z06 in the headrest, and honestly, that just kind of rolls out some buyers. That is it as far as the parts go, so now we have to add up our cost and see where we ended up. But before we get into that, I told you we were a little bit light on the parts value and quantity. On the C6 Z06, there are just some parts that are so desirable that they pretty much sell themselves and they're gone before we ever get a chance to list them. Anytime we can get the wide body front and rear fenders, they are gone almost immediately. Alex sold those for a grand total of $4,075 before they ever got a chance to make their way to me. So go ahead and turn that $25,599 into a $29,674. Now, as for the rest of our expenses on this car. Labor, not too bad. We didn't have a lot of time into it. It was wrecked good enough where it wasn't super tedious to take apart, but Dalt did have a little time on the front end deleting that oil cooler and making sure that we weren't going to be spewing oil everywhere when we started the thing up. So for labor, we said $750. Next up, selling fees. You guys know what it is. Credit card fees, eBay fees. We settled on a flat 10% as per usual. So for that, we're going to knock $29.67 off. Now for shipping, which unfortunately on this one, we're in for a good bit of money. Not only do we have the engine, but we have the seats, we have those inner fender tubs, we have the front fenders, the rear fenders that we've already shipped. So unfortunately, while it didn't produce a large number of parts, the parts that it did produce are expensive to ship. So for that, we knocked off $2,000. Now last up, as per usual, dead inventory. Inventory that sits, inventory that is tough to sell. We never sell or have to discount heavily to sell. Fortunately, I think the C6 is our most dialed in chassis. There is very little waste. We know it sells, we know what to keep, and we don't bother with anything else. But with that said, there's always something. Some of the previous videos, you've seen me go as high as 15% and as low as 10%. In this one, we're going even lower, closer to 5%. In fact, on this one, I just called it an even $1,500. I didn't assign a percentage value to it. And honestly, it may be a little less than that. But I like to shoot on the high side to give you guys a realistic number. I present to you the full breakdown with the theoretical net profit of $9,957. When you can get a car that is just over $10,000 and have a clear path to make almost $10,000, I will take that all day, every day. As you guys have seen in some of the previous episodes, it's almost never that good in the salvage industry. So when we can win one, we'll take it. And with that said, that is another salvage story in the books. We have a bunch more of these on the way. We have some cars that are already here, some we've already started filming on, and others that are still en route. We are also chock full of project cars here. We have the new 911 Turbo, we have the ZR1, we have the R8 cart, we have the Tesla, we have Dalt's FD if he ever finishes that. So it is definitely going to be a wild summer, and I cannot wait to bring you guys along for the rides. So if you guys enjoyed it, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, go knock on your neighbor's door, go break in their house while they're not home and stick it on their TV for all I care. Actually, hold off a couple days on that. Let me talk to my public defender and make sure I'm not legally liable for that. And if that is the case, I'll put it in the comments to let you know to go kick in your neighbor's door. And now that we've got all our legal disclaimers in there, I will see you guys next time. I don't necessarily think the engine's going to be toasted.
The guy that hopped the curb doing 100 miles an hour.
Hey, hypothetically.
Yeah.
If you want to consider the $20 in gas, hi Eli. The things I'm forced to do for YouTube. Feels wrong to pour out beer. Oh, I gotta get the seatbelt on the Beaver too. Drivetrain is out, and like I said, that front. Can't believe people have the nerve to work in here. Another really nice piece on this car. It is the headers. Are the headers? So dumb. No, just that. Look, jab it all the way. That should be really good. We'll go ahead and get it over here to Fernando. Fernando! Come here! So we're fucking bullshitting instead of being a YouTube star.